Hello, everyone, again. This is Fame. I just want to say thank you all to my viewers for all my previous videos. This one here is a new video on the culture specialization. A couple things you're going to want to note in regards to this is that it could be potentially profitable, just like any of the other city specializations, and it could be a lot of fun. Now, if you stay tuned to my other videos for SimCity, you can see that I've done the casino specialization. And in my opinion, the difference between the casino specialization and this one isn't really that much in regards to the way it affects crime and different things in your city. But the profit margin, on the other hand, I believe that the culture specialization is a lot more stable in regards to the profit margin. Now, I have, if you've paid attention to my other videos, I have touched on my arcology great works, which, as you can see, is pumping in over 1 million residents to the nearby city locations. 500,000 of them being students, the other half of them being workers. I definitely recommend this city specialization. It has helped me out, and it's just awesome. It takes a lot of the guesswork as far as trying to pull tourists into your town, trying to pull workers into your town. Let's take a quick look here as far as some of the different events and different tourist attractions that I have. What you're going to want to do when you start off one of these types of cities is have kind of a game plan. With me, I knew that the amount of tourists were coming into the city were just going to be through the roof, and all I really needed to do was create as many avenues as I possibly could for the tourism. As you can see here, I picked a city on the water, which is going to give me additional access to the ferry terminal, the cruise ship terminal, as well as a city layout that has rail connections. I was very disappointed when I had tried something like this on another city, gotten about halfway through, and realized, hey, it doesn't even have a rail connection. Here's a little breakdown of the numbers. I have been taking in quite a bit of cash to start off, and mind you, the city, I've only been working on it for maybe a couple hours, 2-3 hours. So, it's pretty substantial. As the city grows, as more residents come in, definitely that number will start going up. I had started with that first bus terminal here to the left, and until they were screaming for another bus terminal, which, as you can see, I put a second one in. The ferry terminal, as I mentioned earlier, and most recently a municipal airport, which for the most part isn't doing very much. The different things you're going to have to also take into account is the placement of these different culture tourist attractions. I've been careful. I've laid them directly in front of this one here, directly in front of the train station. And the good thing about this little one here, I definitely recommend starting out with Gerald. It's only $50,000, and it's very low maintenance cost, $350 an hour. And as you can see, I'm already taking in quite a bit. As far as the profit, it's, to me, you want to invest as little as you can, as early as you can, and of course, as you bring in the money, go ahead and take it from there. Also, what I did was I put a bus stop and a small amount of commercial zones next to each of my tourist attractions to allow for the development of hotels. This was the second one I put in. This is the little windmill, and as you can see, I'm taking in quite a bit of cash per day, and it's another one here, very cheap, very, very effective, highly recommended to get you started here with the tourists coming to your town. Anytime you're wondering about any of these events, if I would have placed it out there, which is what I was showing you, the turnout wouldn't have been anywhere near that. But since I was very careful with the placement in front of the train station, in front of the ferry terminal, as you can see, I'll zoom in here. The train comes in, tourists get out, they walk across the street. When they're done, they go to the hotel next door, and hopefully visit again tomorrow. I can't guarantee that they're going to visit again tomorrow, but if not, they'll go down the street here and they'll maybe go to my Expo Center, which I wanted to get into next. Now, there's two different options, actually three different options when it comes to events in the culture breakdown here. Pro Stadium, as you can see, more geared towards larger cities that aren't too worried about making their entire city a standstill parking lot. I chose the Expo Center mainly because the amount of cash, the amount of resources that you need to get an event started are far lower than the Pro Stadium. Please be aware that if you do choose the Pro Stadium, you will need to pump out close to $100,000 per event. Before the event becomes profitable, you'll have to sell so many tickets. I definitely recommend starting off with the Expo Center first until you get a good grasp as to how well and how many tourists are visiting your city. It's pretty easy if you're unaware. You just click schedule your event, and this one here is going to give you 3 options. You got motocross, you've got a sporting event, and a rock concert. For me, today I'm going to start off with a sporting event. All you got to do is click here. It's going to cost you that initial cost, but you potentially can make up over $100,000. All events start at 8 p.m., and you can take a look at it in between now and then as to how many tickets you sold if you're in the green or if you're in the red. And I was sure also, as I touched on earlier, to place bus stops through the area, allowing my buses from the other cities to come on in and drop off tourists. Definitely a good idea. Let's see, what else? This one here, crime is big. Anytime you get a lot of tourists into your town, you're going to deal with crime. Anytime you get a lot of tourists in your town, you're going to deal with additional garbage. You just want to be sure not to let it get out of hand. Make sure you place all of your precincts or all of your police stations with enough adequate jail space. If not, the criminals will run loose, detering any of the tourism from coming to your town or coming back. Definitely would be conscious of that. Definitely would be conscious of garbage, just like in any other city, but especially when you're dealing with tourists, because as you know, or as any even person would not want to visit a theme park full of trash, would not want to visit a tourist attraction full of trash. I've taken also the education route here. As you can see, I've laid out, I have an elementary school, elementary school, high school, and city college. This was the most recent one I put in, the Willis Tower. And it's just doing unbelievable. It's only been placed there for maybe one game day, and I'm taking in about, up over $30,000 a day in profits due to the observation deck at the top. My guess is the Sims pull in, they go to the top, and they can take a look at everything in the region. And as far as any other questions or comments that you guys have, I know a lot of you have been open to questions. I definitely get back to you on that. Just leave them in the description below. In addition, check out any of the other videos that I have. They'll all be in the description below. The arcology video. And please don't discourage yourself if you were to start a city like this. I'm taking in so many more tours due to my arcology great work. So if, for example, I weren't having that great works and I tried to do something very similar, I can't guarantee that the turnout is going to be the same. So you definitely want to be careful with your priorities if you'd like to choose the great works first, which would lead you into a city like this, or if you just want to take a stab at it and try to make a culture or a gambling city without the arcology. Nevertheless, you can make them work either way. It just depends how dedicated you are. Take it easy.